Here's a bold statement. The Pentagon is silencing the press, and it's a direct threat to democracy. But here's where it gets controversial. Today, NPR is losing its access to the Pentagon because we refuse to sign a draconian document that would strip journalists of their ability to do their job. This isn't just about us. It's about the public's right to know what's happening in their name, with their tax dollars, and with the lives of their loved ones on the line. The Defense Department's new policy warns that journalists could lose their press credentials for soliciting even unclassified information from federal employees, unless it's officially approved. That's not journalism. That's censorship. Signing that document would turn us into stenographers, not watchdogs. And this is the part most people miss. No reputable news organization, from NPR to the Washington Post, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Times, or even Newsmax, has agreed to these terms. By the end of business today, nearly 100 Pentagon press corps members will be barred from the building if they don't comply. Let me put this in perspective. I've held my Pentagon press pass for 28 years. During that time, I've walked those halls, talked to officers from around the world, and embedded with troops in combat zones. Here's the kicker. Did I solicit information? Absolutely. That's journalism. It's about digging deeper, questioning the official narrative, and uncovering the truth. For example, after the fall of Baghdad in 2003, then Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld declared it a success. But an officer at the Pentagon pulled me aside and said, "No, Tom, it's not a success. Saddam Hussein's supporters are attacking our supply lines. We're sending more troops back to guard them." That was because the U.S. never deployed enough forces to begin with, a fact I reported before the war even started. My reporting didn't toe the official line, but it gave people a clearer picture of what U.S. troops were facing. The fall of Baghdad wasn't a victory. It was the beginning of a years-long insurgency. And this is the part most people miss. In 2009, when the Obama administration announced a surge of State Department employees to Afghanistan, a Marine officer later told me, if there was a surge, we never saw it. Similarly, the government in a box initiative meant to bring experienced Afghans to the provinces was a failure. A general quipped, "Next time they tell you there's a government in a box, check the box." These aren't just stories. They're the truth, and it's my job to report them. Over the years, my colleagues and I at NPR have spent countless hours in combat zones, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, to hold the government accountable. We've embedded with soldiers and Marines, listened to their perspectives, and often found that the reality on the ground was far more complex than the official statements from the Pentagon. I'm still in touch with many of those service members. They want the truth to get out too. In June 2016, while embedded with Afghan forces to verify claims of progress against the Taliban, our team was ambushed. I lost 2 friends and colleagues, photographer David Gilkey and translator Zabihullah Tamana. When we brought their bodies to an American base, a U.S. general ordered an honor cordon, a tribute usually reserved for fallen troops. As David and Zabi were carried off the helicopter, U.S. soldiers lined up in the darkness. It was one of the most humane gestures I've ever witnessed. In NPR's lobby, there's a memorial to them, including one of David's scorched cameras from that day. Here's the real question. How will the American people now learn what's happening at the Pentagon? Under the Trump administration, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has held just 2 briefings in 10 months. Background briefings, once common, have all but disappeared. Thomas Jefferson, no friend of the press, once said that liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. A free press is the cornerstone of democracy. Without it, we're left with slick social media posts and partisan commentary, and that's not good enough. So I ask you, is this the kind of transparency we deserve? Should journalists be forced to choose between their integrity and access? Let's start a conversation. I want to hear your thoughts.